Welcome back to Sipas Beamer Garage. This time we will focus on everyone's favorite thing, which is the wiring. So we will do wiring for my M52 NI project. Before we start the wiring, we need to take a look about the ECU that I will run. This is the one. This is MS45.1 from ZHPE46, so the SULEV model. The difference to the regular MS45.0 is that this actually runs dual wideband O2 sensors and not the narrowband ones that the MS45.0 runs. But that's only one reason why I chose this one. Second one is that I really like how the engine feels with these MS45 ECUs. For example, our E61, it has the MS45.0 with the M54, and even though the M54 is quite old engine, with MS45 it feels much more modern than the engine actually is. Because unlike the MS43, which is the usual one with the M54, it basically has the drive-by-wire system as like cable replacement. It doesn't have that much magic going in the drive-by system. But the MS45, it runs the torque request system. So basically with the pedal, you will request torque and the ECU will calculate how much you need to open the throttle and everything. So that's the thing that makes this feel the M54 like much more modern engine. The third reason is that this MS45, this can run the 6 HP automatic transmissions. I'm still not fan of the automatic transmissions and especially the 6 HP, even though it's much better than 5 HP that comes with the MS43 usually. But the 6 HP has the benefit that it has the throttle flip and other like modern things that automatic transmissions has. And this MS45, when you run it in the 6 HP gun mode, which is the BN2000, it can do all those things. So you can have pretty modern transmission control with this. And this means that we can possibly run 8 HP quite well with this ECU. That's for future, but that's one of the reasons that I chose this. But yeah, MS45.1. This runs the dual wideband O2 sensors that I have here. These ones, I think these are just regular LSU 4.2 sensors, but sensor is just regular one. But then this plug, I think this plug is LSU 4.9 one with some little thing here. So yeah, almost like standard stuff, but I did read somewhere that maybe the resistor or something is a bit different here. So that's why these are the lambda sensors that are specially made for this ECU. And of course I have two of those. So we have the dual wideband control with this. Some say that you can flash MS45.0 to MS45.1, but I'll show you one thing. So this is MS45.0 and this is MS45.1. Can you spot the difference? Well, this MS45.1, this has these two chips here that are missing from the MS45.0. And these are actually GJ125 wideband O2 controller chips. So yeah, how do you think that you can flash this to be MS45.1 when it's missing the hardware to do that? So yeah, you cannot flash this MS45.0 to MS41.1. But yeah, this is the ECU, this is the real deal, and now we need to just start doing the wiring for these things. I'm pretty sure that none of the European cars came with this MS45.1. The ones that are here, I think those are all import. I'm not 100% sure, but anyways, you cannot really get wiring for any of the cars around here in Europe for these. And even these, I think these ECUs came from import cars. But anyways, I have one and that's enough. But because of the wiring thing, let's see what kind of problems we will have. This will be the starting point of our wiring adventure. This is some 4-banger, I don't know, maybe M43 wiring from E36. The reason why I have this is that I need these plastics and these rubber covers, these ones here, to make this look like stock wiring for the E46. And also this is good thing because I also notice distances between the ECU and other connectors, like these relays and everything. So that's what I need here. Otherwise, I don't think I need anything in this one. So first thing, I will just strip this out from all the other wiring, and then I will try to stuff the M54 wiring to this plastics and everything. this thing here, this is wiring from left-hand drive E60 with M54. So this is MS45.0 wiring. It's not directly compatible with MS45.1, but that's fine. The reason I will use this as a starting point, well, I need to make this look a little bit better. So this is the main engine wiring harness part from that wiring harness from the E60. So this has all the injectors, Venus solenoids, cam sensors, all the sensors here, drive-by-wire, knock sensor. So all the basic things are here. And this is just single plug that plugs in the ECU. And if I remember correctly, the pin out in this is identical to the MS45.1. And the reason I'm using the E61, this bundle that comes from this box, this is really long. So I think this is plenty long for the E46 plastics and everything. So I think that the only thing I need to do is to like strip this out from these plastics and rubbers and put this inside the E36 plastics, and that's it. Then of course we have the plug here that has the power, so that will be the next thing. This is rest of the wiring. So here's coil harness, which should be also plug and play, but this is really short, so I don't think this will work out. I think we can take this off. And this is the lambda harness plug, which is this one. This we might be able to use, I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, these plugs are totally wrong for the MS45.1. These are the narrowband lambda sensor plugs, and we need the wideband ones. So at least this needs to be modified. And of course the pin out for this plug, this is wrong for the MS45.1. But these are really easy to reprint. And of course we have the relays and everything here. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that we are not going to use these ones. This is the coil wiring from Z4, M54, I think this is for MS43. But anyways, the thing is that this has much longer cables like this. And well, this was really cheap from eBay, so that's why I got this. This has the correct plugs and everything for the coils. And even though this is MS43, I think there might be one resistor here that I might need to remove, I'm not sure. And then this plug, these coil wires, these are different order in MS43 and MS45. So I need to repin this. Again, that's quite easy. So this is probably what I will use. I might also need to swap out this connector. I'm guessing that. And then, so this is from the same Z4, and I think this is the right-hand drive, so the ECU is in the other side. So again, we have really long cables here. But the thing is that this has a lot of cable, so I think we can use the lambda wiring from this and something. I'm not 100% sure. So okay, this could be useful or not. And this also have the wiring for the automatic that I don't need. But let's see. Yeah, I need to study this and decide what I will do. But first thing, I will strip out the E36 plastics and everything, so we can start fitting the wiring to that. And well, this was actually everything that I needed from that. So these are the plastics, and we will now try to stuff all the wiring inside these ones. But these are really filthy, so let's clean these first. Okay, I think this is clean enough. Man, it's raining heavily outside. But well, let's continue from here. It's not perfect, but I think yeah, that's fine for wiring harness. So let's try to first put on the main engine harness through this one. Okay, that was the main engine harness. It's basically done. Only thing is that I will probably need to adjust this. So I have this now so that this is basically as long as it can be, so that we have enough wires here. But I need to try this on the car to see if this is too long or something. If it's too long, I will shorten this, and there's plenty of room for these wires in the cavity for the ECU on E36, so that's fine. Next thing, let's try on the coil harness. These are the coil harnesses. Once again, this was the E60. This could be fine if I would run this in the same route as the E36 as originally, but I don't want to do that. I want to run this through the same plastics as the other ones, so I will use this JIT4 one. Coils. MS45, it runs these pencil coils that look like this. These came in the late MS43 cars, and then all the MS45 ones, they run these also. And then a lot of later engines after M54, they run these. So because these are in so many different BMW engines, these are really cheap coils. So let's throw these in. First, of course, we need to put in the spark plugs. That should be now all correct. Then this would go here. And yeah, it's not gonna be enough if I will route this on the correct way. So I think I will drill a hole on the other side of the plastic thingy and get this through here. And this way this will look neat, and I think this is plenty enough wire in that way. Well, that was easy. The coil harness is now in here. It goes through here to the ECU. And I'm pretty sure that this was marketed as like MS43 coil harness. But this was actually MS45 coil harness, so I didn't need to do any changes to this. Even the pinout is correct because it's MS45. So that saved us some time. So now we have two of the plugs ready for the ECU. So the coil harness goes here, and then the main engine harness goes here. Then we are only left with the three. And about the remaining ones, there is the power one, there is the O2 sensor one, and there's the one that has all the signals going to the car. And about the power one, I was looking at this E61 that has the relays. So there's the DME relay, and I think there's, I'm not sure, might be full pump relay or something. But anyways, it looks like this will be easiest to just mount on top of the ECU like this, because there's plenty of room in the ECU compartment in E36. So from this we can get the power plug like this. Then this will plug in here like that. These two will plug in here. I need to just swap the connector from the E61 to this one. And then we are only really left with these. So this is the power from the battery, and then we have the ground here. So these both would go on separate wires that go through here, out here, and there will be battery post here, and then the ground connection also. So just two wires here, and we are pretty much done. Then next one is the O2 sensor plug here. Yeah, it goes here. and comes out here. So only thing I really need to do is just to snake this through here, where the lambda sensors will be, and then repin these to the LSU one. Of course, we have the pre-cat and post-cat lambda sensors. I will only run the pre-cat sensors, so I will just repurpose these wires to work with the LSU sensors. And yeah, that starts to be it. Then we are only left with this fifth one here, and this is towards the car. So this is something that we cannot use anywhere else. So this is something that I need to do from scratch. So I will just basically run the wires from here to the connectors here that should be here for the car, and that's it. But I think in this point I need to check this in the car and check how are the distances and lock this into place. I will have easier time to do rest of this thing. So maybe we jump into the car and check the distances and lengths for these and then continue. The engine is now magically in the car, so let's try fitting the wiring harness on this. This is why I wanted to try this out. So yeah, here we have way too much wire. So this needs to be around here. So I can basically I will just remove this rubber section totally and then slide this plastic thing in here, zip tie it here, and it should be okay. There can be some slack here. I think this should be like maybe here, or yeah, even like that it's plenty. So yeah, really short one here. Then this coil harness, this is also too long, so, and also this doesn't seem to be that good place to take this through like I did. So I don't know how well you can see, but I think we can snake. Yeah, this is now correctly here. Everything should be okay. So we can snake this through from this original grommet. This I will leave for some other use. Maybe for the reverse switch or something. So yeah, that will go through that grommet. This will be shortened. We will have quite a bit of wire for the engine harness inside the box, but yeah, there's room for that.
Later.
Sorry, there doesn't seem to be any footage of me doing those modifications that I was talking about, but you get the idea. I also decided that rather than working from the measurements, I'll do rest of the wiring on the car. First thing to do is the main power wires. First one being the one from the starter to the alternator, which I'm modifying here from some old cable I had. Next one is the main power cable from the power post to the starter. This one also splits to the fuse box, and I'm making the split here. Then of course the battery post end needs ring terminal too. You could also steal these power wires from your original 6-cylinder wiring harness, but I did sell my harness with the old engine. Starter wire, this main one, this was already here, but I did put new ring terminal. And then this second one, this was not on the E60 wiring. This is for the unloader relay. The newer cars, I think they have this made in different way. But in these E36s, this is traditionally from the starter. So that's why it needed to be added. Okay, it might not look like that, but we are starting to get really close to getting this finished. Last thing we need to do is to actually connect this engine wiring to the car. I have few wires here, so we have the alternator wire, starter wires, and the coolant temp wire here. So those are there. These are pretty much all ones that we need to connect from the actual engine to the car, and rest are from the ECU. And that one is something that we don't have, so I did make it from scratch. So I did just steal some wires from the leftover wiring bits, and this connector usually is something that doesn't come with the wiring kits that when you buy these engines, because this is the part of the car, and this connector on the ECU actually connects the ECU to the car. So I got this from AliExpress. These seem to be good enough quality. It comes with the pins and everything, but I try to use the wires that already have the pins, so I don't need to crimp as many. So now I will just put these pin blocks, or I don't know what are these called, but anyways, I'll put these to this connector and try to route this, how this will go, and then we start pinning those wires to the main connectors. Then of course we need to solve this mess, but this is only like I need to connect these powers and ground, and that's pretty much it. And all this mess is just lambda wiring here, so I need to decide where I want the lambda connectors and pin those, and that's about it.
3 weeks later.
Here are the main power feeds for these fuses here. It's connected to this thick wire here, and it will go here on the positive post. I have the ground wires here, all the 3 big ones go here, and these will go to the negative post there. I have added all the wires that need to go between the ECU and the car. Those are there. I have added fuel pump relay there. That should be there. These are unterminated, these are for the lambda sensors, and yeah, these don't have any terminals and that kind of things. But now when I have everything, I need to try to put these back here. These were quite nicely tied from factory, but I needed to open these bundles, and now this is horrible mess like that. So yeah, I need to put the ECU on and then try to get these wires here neatly, tidy these up. And then when those are in place, then I can start terminating these things so that I know the length of these wires and everything. Next up is to terminate the engine harness to body harness plugs. My car originally only has the X20 connector, but with the drive-by-wire and everything, it doesn't have enough pins for this engine swap. So here I'm splitting the wires to 2 connectors, and I'm adding the missing X69. Nice. Of course, only the connector part numbers are for the X69 to not mix up these, but the pinout is custom. I'm actually using the really nice spreadsheet from my friend for his E36 M54 swap earlier. The X6004 connector actually has pretty much the same pinout between the MS42, 43 and 45. After the X69, it's time for the X20. That one will be the standard E36 pinout so that I don't need to do any changes for the car side. It actually even has the gun pins there for Z3 that came with the M52 TU and M54. You can find quite good pinout pics for this X20 connector around internet, and I'm using here for just visual guide. All done. Time to string the boots and put everything where it belongs. Of course I need to run the body side of the existing connector, but that really only has straight wires to the drive-by-wire pedal and brake light switch, so I didn't even film getting those in. Okay, after a lot of work, the wiring starts to be finally done. The only thing we need to do is to terminate these O2 sensor wires here, and to do that I think I need to install those sensors because I don't know where these plugs will end up, because normally in the M52 TU and M54 the lambda sensor plugs would be here, but this has quite long wires, so I think I will install those new O2 sensors and see where this will end up, and then terminate these based on that, and then the engine wiring harness is finally done. Just as I thought, these are quite long enough to come here, where the stock, I think, rear O2 sensor plugs are, so I'm happy to put these here. So now I will need to terminate these wires. I did already separate these to bank 1 and bank 2 wires here, so let's put some heat shielding on those and then terminate the plugs. And that's everything for this video. In the next one I'll do the remaining items to get this dual bonus engine to run in the E36 chassis.